For me, I wanted to be with another day.
Yeah,
Wherever, but
that's awesome.
we'll put some.
7 o'clock.
All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order, starting with roll call. Eric? Here. Ann?
Here.
Jeannie?
Here.
Steve?
Here.
Larry? Here. Stacy?
Here.
And we have our 2 board representatives as well. Notice of meeting?
Meeting was properly noticed.
All right, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Would you please join me in standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That takes us right down to the spotlight on learning.
We'll turn it over to Mr. Sniff and the best counseling department in the state of Wisconsin.
There you go.
You stole
Might be a
my
bold
thunder.
statement, but I
What-
think
what
you
are
can back it up.
doing?
I think you can back it up.
Well, hello everybody. Happy Monday evening. We are really good at sharing a lot of the great things that happen in Pewaukee High School via our social media and other means. You know, when we score that touchdown, we put a post out. When we light something on fire in chemistry, we put a post out. But when we finished our 183rd of 226 junior conferences, we don't tend to put a post out. But the reality is that's the core essential work that we do, which is supporting our students. And those are the moments when sometimes a student decides where they're going to college, what career they might want to go down. Maybe they get reinvigorated to have a strong finish to the end of our school year, whatever it might be. But ultimately, really important work happens at that time. So it's a little quiet, the work that's done. It's a little behind the scenes, the work that's done. And so I think it's really valuable once in a while to tell our story, to tell the story of the good work that happens in our student services office. And as Dr. Katie pointed out, we maybe have, or we do actually have, the best counseling team I've ever experienced, certainly, and easily within the state of Wisconsin, the best counseling team. Just setting them up a little bit. I am going to quote your very own Khadijah, who said, "I would like to award the Medal of Awesome to Mrs. Williams. Mrs. Williams is so incredibly supportive. If there is anything I need, she is right there, helping in any way that she can. She has been one of my greatest cheerleaders and demonstrates that she is genuinely excited for and interested in her students. Thank you, Mrs. Williams. You are truly awesome." That sort of epitomizes the relationship they build with 870 kids. It's a tremendous task, it's tremendous work, and I wanted them to share just sort of the breadth of what it is that they do. So I'll turn it over to them.
Thank you, Mr. Sniff. And yes, you have your 3 high school counselors here tonight. I am Katie Williams, and we have Amanda Sorkness and Angie Lewick. And we're really excited to be here tonight to share with you some of our roles and responsibilities. We know you've heard a little from counselors at the other buildings and grade levels, so we are glad to share the focus and the goals specific to the high school and our work with students. When thinking of the role of a school counselor and our mission, it's pretty well exactly aligned with the mission of our district here. We really strive to, our goal is to, we hope that we open the door to each child's future. So that's our goal. And when we knew we were coming here tonight, the 3 of us got together and talked more about, well, what's our personal mission? Why do we do this? What's our why? And it all came back to, first and foremost, students. That's our main priority, but specifically, for us, it's the connections that we see the students make. So when we have the opportunity to hear back from them about experiences they were involved with, things they did that said, oh, a light bulb went off, that aha moment, or even confirming an interest they have, like that's our why, that's what we want to see. Whether it's from a career speaker at our Future Ready Day, a manufacturing tour where they learn more about different types of hands-on careers they could have, to a college visit where they feel like I found my fit, I'm at home, or even to an insight program working with a mentor, and all the way to a full-on dual enrollment academy program where they spend most of their senior year. So that's kind of our why. And so tonight we want to explain how we make those connections and those opportunities for students and some of the supports that we do as well.
There we go. So just a little background on the program in general. Our counseling program is aligned with the American with School Counselors Association model that addresses both direct and indirect supports for students. So some of these things that our Ask a Model and framework say counselors should be doing are delivered directly by us. Others are designed by us but delivered by others. In homeroom, we design lessons, but the homeroom advisors actually deliver the lessons. Some of our, I'll talk about in a little bit, but some of the health curriculum is in our framework, but it's delivered to sophomores in health class. So we have those direct and indirect services. You'll see there the 3 domains that are part of this model: the career and post-secondary, the academic, and then the personal social. And that's really how we've broken down today, kind of what we're going to talk about with all of this. So, and just one more background piece, oops, too far. Our model is also aligned with the multi-tiered systems of support framework. So similar to the academic RTI piece where we have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 services, the Ask a Model is aligned similarly. So you can kind of see, ideally, tier 1 services, 80% of students are able to access what they need. And then it kind of gets a little more intense at each of the tiers following that. So let's talk about the really fun stuff, and we're going to start with the career and post-secondary. So when we talk about the career and post-secondary side of things, we're really focusing on tier 1 for this presentation. Tier 2 and tier 3 in career and post-secondary are really one-on-one meetings. It gets very individualized at both of those tiers, but there is so much that we really do at tier 1 for career and post-secondary. That's where we're focusing here. And we'll talk more about tier 2 and tier 3 for those other domains when we get to that point. So these are some of the things at 9th grade that we do. In addition to those individual junior conferences that Mr. Stiff spoke of earlier, we do freshman meetings with all freshmen. Try to have those done in the first 2 months of school. They're get-to-know-yous, check-ins. How's the transition to high school been going? We have them tell us how to pronounce their names so that we do that correctly. And we get quizzed on that all throughout 4 years when we're doing prom announcements or graduation names, things like that. So just, I think that's the basis of starting the relationships that we want to build is that initial making sure I say their name correctly, because really we make it up in our heads as we see their names coming up from ASA. So we start the year off, like I said, with meeting with all of those students individually. We have the homeroom piece that I spoke about earlier. So there are a lot of pieces that come through homeroom. It can be four-year planning, goal setting. We do re-looking at those goals midway through the year. We do course selection and scheduling through the homeroom. We've done internet safety. We just recently did another internet safety piece through homeroom. Then the other 2 big pieces that we have for freshmen are related to career exploration. That's really the main homeroom focus for freshmen, is that career, just exploration piece. So we're using Zello, which is our computer program that is paid for through Department of Public Instruction, that was available to all students in the state. And they do research and some projects in homeroom on different careers. And then the big pieces for all grade levels really are the fall Future Ready Days and the spring Future Ready Days. So the fall Future Ready Days they're kind of, I say days, there's 2 days. The first day is kind of the boring day, lots of testing happening that day. But day 2 is my favorite, probably one of my favorite days of the year, is the Career Speakers Day. So we bring in 50 or a little over 50 speakers every fall, and the students rotate through and they select 4 speakers. Larry is one of our regular speakers at Career Day, and it's great. We do our best to have at least one representative from each of the 16 career clusters. It can be challenging. Sometimes they cancel on us last minute or day of. But we do our best to try to make sure, at least through those 4 years, that the students have really had an opportunity to see all different kinds of speakers. And then in the spring, on Future Ready Day is actually the ACT Day for juniors. And so we have things planned for the other grade levels as well. So we'll talk more about the seniors and the sophomores, but the freshmen, again, their focus is on career exploration. And so the freshmen go off on business tours. So we work with Junior Achievement, and they get on a bus and they go tour a company and learn about all the careers at that company. We've gone to Direct Supply, and there are multiples. We probably have 5 or 6 different companies each year, but we've gone to Direct Supply, GE Healthcare, Harkin. We work with the Waukesha County Manufacturing Alliance. They do a tour for 3 different manufacturing locations and do a stop at WCTC to look at those programs. Johnson Controls, Briggs & Stratton. Again, Larry helps us with our healthcare piece with Freighter and Community Memorial Hospital to get some of that healthcare. We've gone to Westwood and kind of the healthcare side of Westwood, and they have many different careers there that we've gone to. What am I forgetting? I don't know. You get the idea. Kohl's. Yeah, BMO Harris, Pfizer, we do them all. You can tell I'm excited about that part. I love that part. And so that's really the freshmen, their main tier 1. 10th grade, gosh, I'm not good with the clicker today. Again, individual meetings with the sophomores. If I'm gonna be honest, if something kind of falls by the wayside a little bit, it's the sophomore meetings. They get a little shorter than normal, than we want them to be. Really focused on that scheduling side with them. Again, their homeroom focus, where the freshmen are career focused, the sophomores, it's that just exploration of all the options, that post-secondary options, looking at 4-year college, 2-year college, apprenticeships, and all the options that are out there, technical schools, specialty schools, all of that. So they do some work in that exploration of all those options. We talked about the kind of the health piece for sophomores, includes a lot of the counseling curriculum that's in there. They do, of course, the career speakers, and then their Spring Future Ready Day is college tours. So where the freshmen are off at the career exploration, the sophomores are doing college tours, and we've gone a little bit of everywhere. We've done, we always do Madison and Whitewater, we've done Oshkosh, we've done Carthage, we've done UWM, we've done a fine arts specific UWM, MSOE, and more. We try to, again, WCTC, UW Waukesha, Carroll. So students choose, they get the list of where we were able to secure spots that year, and they go from there. So I'm going to pass it on.
Okay. All right. I'm Amanda Sorkness, so I am the third of the 3 counselors here, so thank you for letting us come. Just Angie and Katie already did a really great job talking about all the different things that we do. In 11th grade, we try to link it all together. And so obviously in freshman and sophomore year, we spend time kind of introducing them to all the different post-secondary options. And really junior year is meant to be a little bit more personalization. We still have some of the general information that we do through class test drive. We have speakers coming in from WCTC to talk about Dual Enrollment Academy. We have some of the apprenticeship or our work-based learning opportunities, like G.A. Larson comes in, and they'll talk to students so that we can start setting the ground level for their planning for senior year, because junior year course planning is a big part of junior year. We start doing that in December. And then through our junior conferences, we're spending time individually with students. I think we're about 85 to 90% parent participation rate in those junior conferences, so that's been wonderful. Probably one of the biggest things that COVID did for us was helping us get a virtual platform, which opened the door for parents to kind of join virtually from work, from home. And so I think that really set the stage where more and more parents and families are participating in those junior conferences, so that is really great. So those individualized meetings are important to personalize it for students so that they really can kind of figure out what that best post-secondary plan is for them. So then we get towards 12th grade. 12th grade really is that true personalization because every student is different. We still do a lot of workshops for students. We have the college workshop before they start school, but then as Angie was talking about those career ready days, those are dates that there's other workshops where we will have financial aid, a WCTC speaker will come in. We talk about scholarships through homeroom. We do lots of different individual meetings as needed. We kind of rely on seniors to reach out to us and the different supports that they would like. But we still have them participate in career speakers. That day, as Angie said, is probably one of our favorite days because sometimes it's an opportunity for that light bulb to go on for a student, and they kind of make a decision at that point where they kind of start thinking about the right fit for them as a career path, or they just an opportunity to take that step forward to try something out. So all of that kind of happens in 11th and 12th grade.
And with all of those different connections we're making, we just wanted to make sure we highlight the partnerships that we have that help us do those things and enable a lot of those awesome experiences to happen. I think probably our strongest partnership is with WCTC, which probably makes sense since they're in their backyard, and we do take advantage of that. They are very great at sending over representatives to meet individually with students whenever needed, groups of students having tours, coming to the resource and test drive sessions to explain their programs, and then obviously working with us to get students over there to take, whether it's one college class all the way up to a full dual enrollment academy program where they could get up to 23 college credits in 1 year, in their senior year. So we love that partnership. I would say it's growing. Each year we do see more and more students kind of heading that route, interested in that. So that's exciting to see. Other colleges, obviously, we work with through anytime students want to take college classes at local colleges, we work with them. Green Bay is on here, just so you know. There's a great opportunity for our high school students. We have selected classes called college courses in high school where teachers here are teaching UW Green Bay curriculum to our students, and so just by being in the class here, if they register, they can earn college credit just by taking one of our 8 classes we have here. So awesome partnership there. And then like Amanda said, G.A. Larson is a company that works with our students to recruit interns and apprenticeships to work with them. They're an HVAC company, and so they do a great rotation of students can do the HVAC skills, the inventory, warehouse kind of things, logistics, the business, HR, customer service. And so, again, I think that's growing. We have usually seen like 1 to 2 students even interested or apply. This year we know of at least 6 who have applied, and that's still in process. So again, that's growing. And Superior Crane just reached out to us recently, kind of the same program they're hoping to do in Waukesha. So just some of the partnerships that we're building, so you know about those. And I would say this is kind of our tier 2 support also for post-secondary. These are the people that take it that next level and help us get specifically connected. So bringing it back to those other domains, as far as the academic supports that we do as counselors, I won't go through all of these with you, but just so you understand, we kind of work through a tier system again. At this tier 1 level, if a student is struggling, that 80% should hopefully be successful by doing a lot of things we have in place here. Our resource in the morning, getting help from teachers, working after school with teachers, working with us individually, etc. If they're not getting their needs met through that, that tier 2 would be more of a collaborative approach, working with teachers and families, more of thinking, brainstorming, are there different strategies we can try, or working with interventionists on if there's a specific class that might help build their skills in a certain area. And then again, that tier 3 would be more of the really individualized plans, more formal plans to help students in their academic needs. We're almost done.
Personal social, so that's the third of those 3 domains. We've already talked about career and academic. So personal social is really kind of breaking it down for the individual student. There's a lot of different needs that every student brings to us. As you guys know, you all have had youth, children in your lives that you've connected with. And so it's really important to understand where they are at and where you can meet them at. And so there are different levels of support at tier 2 and tier 3. We collaborate with those students, we work with them, we work with the teachers that maybe need to know some information to help them be more successful. We might be coordinating with their families or other important people in their lives. Sometimes students who are really struggling, we might have to coordinate kind of on a more intensive basis, whether it's more check-ins or coordinating with their other health needs, whether it's therapists on the outside or different referrals for inpatient, and trying to support them through academics and all of that. So we really kind of bring it all together. Sometimes sometimes there's students who are really struggling to get to school, so we jump in a van and we try to go to their homes and bring them to school. So there's times where we'll be doing those type of things too. So that's where this can take kind of that more intensive level for some of the most needy students that need additional supports. And so Angie, when she introduced kind of the services of school counselors, we talked about direct services, and a lot of that was come through those academic, personal, and career domains. And so some of the indirect services don't really fit in those three categories, but there's still quite a bit of other coordination and organization that goes on. Obviously, testing. You guys are very familiar with testing, so that's a very big part of some of the roles that we play. Besides coordinating all the different state tests and other testing that we're doing, but it's other testing to just make sure opportunities exist for students, whether it's coordinating an ASVAB so that students can enter into the military. AP testing, obviously that's part of our Future Ready profiles, trying to connect students to college credits. And so we have over 300 exams that we do. It actually is down from 500 because we have grown in college courses in high school so much. We have over 300 students, or 300, not students, 300 students enrolled in college credits in high school. So some students might take more than one. So over 300 enrollment in that. So that's automatic college credit from UW Green Bay for all those students involved with that. So fewer students are taking AP because of that opportunity, which is fantastic, that they don't have to pass a test to get that college credit, but we still have a lot of students taking AP tests. Obviously, master schedule creation, we're in the thick of scheduling right now, so that's kind of going on, 504s, and just new students. We had a bunch of new students enroll in the last week, so trying to coordinate schedules for them, get them into the right classes, and make those transitions from whatever school that they're coming from. So we've had quite a few in the last couple weeks coming to Pewaukee. So we're constantly trying to just make sure we're supporting students, whether it's directly through those three domains or indirectly through these other areas of support. So, sorry we took beyond our 10 minutes. You knew we would go more than 10. But again, we ended with, this is again our why. And I always look at this picture and it reminds me when we first started the parade of graduates walking around the campus, which is really cool that we are all on one building. Each one of these students is wearing a sign that says where they're going to college or what their plans are post-secondary, whether it's military or get enrolled in a job or leaving high school with different plans, but it's listed on that sign. And it always is a super cool moment to watch them walk around with that sign, which just kind of highlights the hard work that they've put in for those 13 years. So this is our why, and this is what we do. Thank you.
Anybody have questions?
About to run out of here?
Thought you were done. Now it's question time.
Steve?
I'm a huge fan of the dual enrollment. I was super excited to see the 16 successful dual enrollment students that we've gotten through this year with WCTC. And I'll make a statement and then a question. Please continue all of that effort. It's so valuable to our students of Pewaukee. And then my question is, what do we know about the alignment between what those students enroll in terms of the dual enrollment and what they end up doing after that? Do we get the kids into the right programs, or what do we learn about that over time? Because we've grown this, so how's that going?
I think it's different for each student. I know some students that like to just kind of get some skills, and then like I have a student who's going to a four-year college but in a dual enrollment program this year in the building trades because he wants to get into construction management, so he's not planning to take the second year of the program at WCTC, but the skills that he's having right now is going to kind of lead him into that next level. We've had students do that for some of the IT systems, where they might start in IT systems or continue for 2 years. Like I had one, I know a couple years ago, that did 2 years, their first year through dual enrollment, stayed at WCTC for the second year, really loved it, and then moved on to UW Whitewater for a 4-year in computer science. And so sometimes it's just kind of a way to kind of stick their foot in and kind of see how the waters of college go, and then they kind of start making decisions from them. Sometimes I think we have students who've gotten out of the programs too, like the fire, safety, EMT ones. Sometimes students have done that just to get a part-time job, maybe working in an ambulance while they're going to college,
Got it.
you know, in healthcare or something. So we've seen that too. So, I
Lots
mean,
of
I feel
different
like the data's
reasons.
all over the place,
Yeah.
but the value has been tremendous.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Sorry, can you hear me out there? A couple quick questions for you, actually. So are there any students that ever do not utilize or partake in your services, and why not?
Yes. Yes. Sometimes, despite every effort we make, they just either aren't ready. You know, sometimes coming into the counseling office is intimidating, or, you know, some people just don't like the idea of counselors and therapists. So we even, again, try to meet them at their homes, hop in a van, head out to a house, or, you know, walk the halls. Sometimes we're walking campus around trying to talk to students. But we don't stop trying, you know. So maybe freshman year they're not open, but we come at it again the next year, especially for those that we're just continuing to see that need, whether that be personal, social, or academic.
But hopefully it's not too many by the time they get to their senior
Correct.
year, right? Hopefully that's a number zero. So, and I know some of you, Angie, you've probably been here the longest, and I think the display that you had up there with the different options, and I too am a big fan of the dual enrollment and those kinds of programs, and probably even, because I know my son went through like a lot of the AP, but I think the fact that you've got the UW Green Bay, you've got some of those other programs out there, that it really allows them to earn those college credits in a little bit different way. So if you look back in terms of the time when you started here, Angie, maybe unless I think you've been here the longest, number of students that have actually attained or achieved some level of college credits from then until, like, I mean, you think about this year's graduating class, and I know last year's, the guy had probably like 20 or 30 or something like that. What's your general take on that? And do we have any numbers that show how many students, the percentage, and then the number of college credits that students are typically graduating with when they finish school here at Pewaukee?
Yeah, I didn't bring that info today, but it's something we could certainly get if
I mean,
you'd
just
like.
give me a general trend, though.
A lot more than it. I mean, I started in 2000. I started in 2004, and we had a few AP classes. So I think just naturally, you know, I remember when AP World History started, and it was actually someone in the audience that was in a library with a few students doing that AP class online. And so things kind of just kept growing from there. So it's just naturally grown as we've increased the opportunities and the capacity for students. So I don't know the exact number of growth, but it was a lot.
Mr. Smith's going to
This
step
is
up.
actually our compete data that we track to try and
Yes.
see that we are meeting that particular goal, and that we want to have every senior leave here with either a university credit or an industry certification. And when we went to check our data the first year, we were already, I think, at 87% of the senior class, and it's continued to climb a bit from there. So really high percentage of our kids take advantage of these opportunities.
And so what's the payback or return on investment for the student and or the parents if they have college credits and things when they graduate from Pewaukee?
So the rate at which they have to pay for that college credit here is significantly less than if they went and took it at the university. I'm going to argue for our teachers potentially being more caring and personalized to the students here at the school than they might get from a college experience when they're in a classroom at the university. I'm just speaking to my own personal experience, you know, and how college professors tend to, you know, teach the material more so than maybe the kids. And so I think that the experience is more rich here. The feedback that we get from University Green Bay, I don't know what they are, administrators that come here and observe our classes are always truly impressed with our teachers. They give feedback and say that this is even a better experience than what they're seeing in some of their courses they observe there. So it's a very positive experience for the kids to take those courses here.
I mean, and they do save a lot of money. I mean, I realize that. I mean, because if they
Larry,
have,
both of my older two could have graduated in 3 years. They're double majoring, so they're going 4 years.
So
but they
Miss
could have
Accountant
gotten
then, how much does that
undergraduate.
translate into in dollar savings then?
Well,
Depends on the
it depends on what
college.
school.
What's that?
I've
25.
got one at Whitewater and one at Dayton. They're very different.
But it's thousands of dollars though,
Oh, yeah.
right? I
Tens
mean,
of thousands.
Easily.
Well, and I will say, just to add to that, one of the biggest indicators of success, a lot of people don't realize this, but only about 50% of individuals nationally that go on to a university program finish. And so people usually think it's much higher, but only about half that start finish. And one of the biggest indicators that they'll finish is the rigor of their coursework. So if they're taking those college prep courses in high school, the chances that they're going to get to degree completion is much higher. So that's another one of the return on investment pieces.
so one other question, Brian, and this is kind of in the context, when we have these programs with the Larson Company and also now the Crane Company, is there an official name for that? And again, what kind of students typically would go that route?
So those partnerships are usually work-based learning. So we're trying to make connections where they can get high school credit for working in some type of,
So it's hands-on kind of stuff that
right.
they're doing?
Yes, definitely. J.A. Larson kind of started through GPS, was kind of a work-based learning organization with Generac. We used to do Generac. And Superior Crane was just a new one that we met this spring. And so we're hopeful that maybe we can get a student to go that direction. And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of companies that want more workers. I mean, when we toured Superior Crane, you could tell their average worker is probably 55 to 60. I mean, at least anybody who was there that day. I mean, maybe their young people were not there on that Friday that we toured it, but it was interesting. Like, you can tell that they're trying to, recruit some, young students to kind of get out there and learn the trade. To find that interest. And whether it's to stay there, they have a great program just to kind of see if it's a good fit, and if it's not, they have students that will go to college too. So, but yeah, we're looking at any of those partnerships. So work-based learning. We also have work experience co-op that isn't really coordinated through us, but obviously we promote it through scheduling. One of our business teacher runs work experience co-op, and that's where they kind of can do more hands-on skill-based learning as well, and try to promote students being out in the workforce a little bit while they're balancing a schedule too.
So when we say opening that door to each
Opening all
child's
doors,
future,
yes,
it
every
covers lots of different doors, right?
Anything else, Larry?
That's it.
Good.
I was just wondering, like, how the services you've really provided have, like, changed since you kind of started. Have there been, like, any major changes in what you provide students today?
I mean, I think we've always had those domains, right, in those areas. So to me, it's just more of the new opportunities or just the trend of growth in those. I think, we've always worked with the post-secondary and different businesses and opening different doors, but I think it's just more and more of those that keep coming up for post-secondary. Obviously, the personal social concerns have been there and continue to be there. I think we've kind of noticed a trend that obviously we've had a pandemic and whatnot, so some of those kind of are trending, but still the same work. So I don't know if you noticed something different. Angie's been here longer.
God, I'm tired of feeling like the old person. So, just kidding. So since I've been here, I'd say there are a lot, junior conferences sticks out in my mind. It used to be, we kind of just had a newsletter that said, hey, we're available. Let us know if you want to talk. And we had about that many people reach out, and we've kind of tweaked that over the years to the point now where we just schedule them for you and hope you come. Otherwise, we'll reschedule. Sometimes parents reach out and say, hey, I want to come, I just can't do that. So I'd say that's just one that popped into my head. That's a really big difference. The spring and the fall career days were not things when I started. 2012 was the first fall career day, and then 2014 was the first spring career day. So freshman meetings, that wasn't a thing initially. So yeah.
Thank you.
Does that answer it?
Yeah, thank you.
I think what I like about your program where you're having different categories come in is that there's more intermingling. When I went to school a long time ago, you either were going to college or you were going to the trades. There was no in between. And if you start as a freshman going for the college track and you got to the end of the senior year and went, nah, I really don't want it, you had no training to do something different. So this way, I think you're giving more well-rounded students are graduating from our schools because of this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Have a good night.
We don't say you're welcome to stay anymore. We sort of gave that up. Yeah. No one ever did it, so I guess we decided just to skip
no
that part.
takers,
Huh?
so.
You're gonna guilt them into staying?
Next item on the agenda is the student representative report.
All right, so yeah, today we have our April student board report. Okay, just to start off, we kind of wanted to touch on some of the events happening at PLE. One thing that they've been really involved in currently is their Book of the Year contest. So this is where they're able, as a school, to kind of read a few different books and kind of do some end-of-year activities as a school. So some of those activities they've been able to participate in are illustrations, voting on favorite characters, and voting on their favorite book. And as we talked to Mr. Siegel, he also wanted to invite you all to a couple other events. If you happen to be interested, there is an art gallery night at PLE on April 21st, in which a lot of the artwork created by students by the art classes will be showcased throughout PLE. And then on June 8th, they're having their annual Spring Sing.
All right, so the second topic of discussion we want to talk about was a cybersecurity discussion that we held in resource at the high school recently. So this was during our resource period in the academic and career planning session. So this was done with our school resource officer, Officer Budenhagen, and an FBI agent. So the FBI agent actually reached out to our school because there's been an uptick in social media attacks or cyber attacks against high schoolers specifically. So we had a discussion led by a student in which kids could ask questions and also learn from this FBI agent and our school resource officer on how to prevent cyber attacks and what to do if, let's say, a high schooler is subject to an attack. So this was like a more serious discussion that we had in our resource, and it was something that students really valued because it's not something that we talk about all that often, but it's something that's a real issue in our community. Next, we have our athletics and activities. So as all of you know, the boys basketball team was able to win the state championship at the Kohl Center. In track, our boys and girls teams had a great showing at the conference meet, or the indoor conference meet, with the boys taking third and the girls taking fourth. Our FBLA team had a great state championship or state conference in which we had 16 state finalists out of 18 competitors, which is being in the top 8 out of 30. And then we had 2 fifth-place finishers and 6 national qualifiers. So it was a great overall competition for our FBLA team.
That's awesome.
So a little bit of a new segment that I wanted to add was recognizing some collegiate pirates. So some pirates that have moved on to the collegiate level and have achieved some success. So these are the ones that I was made aware of. So Grant Basili is attending Wright State, and he was able to qualify for the NCAA tournament. Kennedy Osterman is attending UW Oshkosh, and UW Oshkosh was able to make to the Elite 8 at the D3 level. Jack Golke is attending Hillsdale College, and his team was able to make the Elite 8 as well at the D2 level. Ari De La Cerda is attending UW Whitewater, and she was able to become top 5 in school history in track in the 5,000 meter and the 3,000 meter. And then Mackenzie Schills, the last one I was made aware of, she attends UW Milwaukee, and she was the Horizon League Girls Soccer Player of the Year. So these are just some outstanding achievements that our collegiate pirates have been able to achieve.
And we'd like to end with our salutes. So we'd also like to salute Mrs. Gerdman. This year she's been tasked with coordinating 2 proms because last year the now senior class decided to kind of push that off 1 year just to have a better experience due to COVID restrictions at the time. And we'd also like to salute Ms. Zagelski and Ms. Mitchell for the work they kind of have been doing to support their students. We had a lot of state qualifiers this year for the solo ensemble, and also Mr. Siegel for providing that information on PLE and just that invite as well.
Just great report. A couple things I would add. Just for everybody in the room, Mr. Siegel is the proud papa of a new baby, so they had an addition to their family last night. And just you mentioned the cybersecurity piece. We have a parent night event tomorrow night on cybersecurity. That'll also be live streamed, so we certainly encourage people to take advantage of that. It's a really important topic, and again, it'll be the FBI agent, Officer Budenhagen, will be leading that presentation, so we encourage people to tune in.
Thank you. Any questions for the students?
Not a question, but hey, thank you for putting the collegiate update in there. That was really kind, really nice to see. You know, I knew about Grant because I saw Wright State had qualified for the NCAA tournament, but this is really nice, and thank you for providing that visibility to us, because once a pirate, always a pirate.
I agree. That was nice.
Thank you. Great report.
Thank you very, very much. Salutes and recognitions. I'll open it up to board members for any salutes or recognitions they'd like to make. Steve?
I'll offer just two. First of all, to Amanda, Angie, and Katie for getting 16 students into the dual enrollment program with WCTC. It's so valuable for those kids, and I'm really appreciative of their work to help grow that program and get those kids into the program. And then the second, just big thanks to all the staff and volunteers who supported the junior prom this last weekend. That was really kind and of giving them their time to make sure that event was a success.
Anyone else? Open it up to administrators.
Yeah, I mean, I just echo what Steve said. Brian Sniff, Paul Bursai, Lisa Girdman, everybody that was involved with the prom. Reports from my prom attendee and from the staff that I talked to. The kids were great. You know, super positive event. They had zero problems. Went really smooth. So, you know, and the weather even kind of cooperated. Stayed dry. It was a little chilly, but a lot of good pictures and those kinds of things happened. So. A lot of time and energy from a lot of people goes in, and parents as well with the decorating. They were great as well. So just kind of general recognition, everybody involved.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is comments from citizens. I have 3 cards here. The first one I'm reading here is Nancy Terrian. Nature of business is reflection, I think it says here.
Good evening.
Hi, Nancy.
Is this on?
I believe so.
Is this
Yep.
on? Okay.
Yep.
Good evening, everybody. As a parent and teacher and community member for the past 22 years, one of the skills that I love to teach my kids and students is how important it is to reflect. So I kind of want to take this moment tonight to really kind of challenge you all to really kind of think about and reflect on where we've come from the last couple of years, because I know my family and I have definitely learned and grown a lot these last couple of years. The past 2 years, and even in the last week, if you have been paying any attention, has taught us a lot. I'd like to share a few of my reflections with you. First, parents need to pay attention and be involved in all aspects of their child's education. Honestly, I have never attended a school board meeting of my own children until 2 years ago. Here I am a teacher myself and have never been to a Pewaukee school board meeting. You know why? Because I trusted in our school system and all those who are and have made the tough decisions that they have our students' best interests in mind academically, emotionally, and socially. What I have seen the last 2 years across our school and schools across our nation is that that isn't always the case, and even more, why parents need to be awake and involved. Secondly, Transparency, accountability, and trust are a valued part of any learning community and needed even more today in our schools. What are the board members, teachers, and leaders in our school going to do moving forward to improve at being more transparent and accountable with the parents and community members? Thirdly, we need to get back to when people can agree to disagree on issues without being identified as hateful, a bigot, racist, or any other name calling. Focus on having grace and encouragement with our words rather than defensive and derogatory speech. Fourthly, schools should be focused around student academic learning and not a place to push social, sexual, political, and even medical agendas. With increased student achievement gaps, we have to refocus and reprioritize our teaching and curriculums to meet those academic deficiencies and leave the other topics to be discussed and taught by parents in their homes. Finally, we all need to be better listeners, listening to our colleagues, kids, constituents. You know, every day I wake up and on my way into work, I pray, Lord, make me a blessing to somebody today, and remind me to be slow to anger, slow to speak, and quick to listen. I know I'm still a work in progress with this. How are you? So where do we go from here? How do we learn from our past mistakes so they aren't repeated? I'm excited for our 3 board members recently voted in and the fresh ideas and voices that they will bring to the table, as well as the positive impact that they will have on our students. And I'd also like to thank Ann and Eric for their service to our district. I would like to request that each current board member, chief academic advisor, and superintendent email me and carbon copy all board members what they have learned these past 2 years and how that information will impact their decision-making moving forward and in the future. So in conclusion, I just want to share one thing to all of you, that know that 22 years have passed, and I know it only seems like yesterday, since my husband and I bought and built our home without kids at that time. We chose Pewaukee solely because of the education our future children would receive. I still believe strongly that Pewaukee was and still is the right place for my children, and grateful to every person in our schools and community who have invested in their lives. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. Damian Teagan, please, something about the election, it looks like here.
Hello, Donna.
Good evening. My name is Donna Teagan, and my husband and I are 16-year residents of Pewaukee, and we're the grandparents of 4 children in the system. This is sort of a little bit like Nancy, and I did not know what she was going to say at all, but this has been a journey for grandparents too the last couple of years. This has been a journey for Carl and I because we were not awakened, but we have been awakened and we are not woke. This started when COVID started and our schools were shut down and our children were learning, they were learning remotely. And we became aware of a service day at the middle school and a survey that was sent out by a middle school student. And it read something like this: all 7th and 8th grade students receive this. Do you know someone of another sexuality? What's your sexuality? Have you talked to anyone about the problems you're experiencing with your sexuality? Are you still in the closet? What is your opinion of the LGBTQ plus community and Pride Month? Do you know anybody who is trans or binary? That's enough. But we had called the principal to set up an appointment. When we talked to him, we handed him the survey that had come into our grandchildren's home, and he didn't know anything about it. So we said, well, certainly there's a teacher that must have okayed this to go to every 7th and 8th grade student. He didn't know about that. He said he'd look into it. We left, and then we never heard anything about it. But it just motivated us to go to our first school board meeting too. When we arrived, one of the first thing on the agendas was our school board vice president, who proudly announced that she had changed all of the documents of our schools to transgender neutral pronouns. It was a lively meeting. There were many, many parents there, and they were expressing to the school board they wanted no critical race theory in this curriculums. And then, time passed, and then the elections came, and the yards were filled with yard signs for both parties, for President Biden and President Trump. Okay. Just at the very end, I just want to say one thing in regard to looking ahead. You have stated the test results have dropped, and classroom time is precious, and we do need to get back to the basics. Your job is to educate our children and not to indoctrinate them. So let's learn from these elections and get to work. One more thing, yard signs. I had 3 in my yard for the 3 candidates that won. The next day after the election, I was out by the curb taking them out, and a white van with a lady in it with the window rolled down, she ran past me and said, "I want you to die, and I mean it." I was stunned. I walked back to the house and I thought, I can't believe this. So I guess we just need to think about getting politics out of the schools. And
Thank you,
that
Donna.
means signage, that means rainbows. Everything's politically connected. Get it out of the schools. We need more time with the basics.
Thank you,
All
Donna.
right, thank you. The last comment card I have is from Julie Westfall.
Hi there. Thanks so much for your
Hey, Julie.
time. Each board member brings his or her own very special strengths to the table when joining a school board. As a 42-year member of the Pewaukee community, Ann Wright had 4 children successfully navigate our schools and currently has several grandchildren enrolled in our schools as well. Ann was a 20-plus year employee with the district, and upon retirement, she dedicated 6 more years of service to the Pewaukee School Board. A pragmatic and humble public servant, Ann Wright has certainly left a legacy in this district. Some examples of Ann Wright's contributions over the past 6 years are using her law enforcement training and education. Ann led the effort to secure and hire, as well as the approval of the funding for our Pewaukee School District School Resource Officer. Most recently, Ann reached out to her contacts within the community and secured the donation of the amazing new flight simulator that the students in our impact program will be utilizing. Ann worked on the team to research and hire for our wonderful new superintendent, Dr. Katie, and his replacement for the director of curriculum, Dr. Bosanic. Ann played an integral part of the team that passed the referendum that makes our building and grounds safe and secure learning spaces for all children, regardless of background, capabilities, and learning capacity. Tonight we'll hear about how she and Jeannie Wattoon partnered to build a business case for securing an additional full-time librarian to bridge the gap between the middle and high school libraries. These are just some of the public-facing work that we have been privy to that Ann has added to her experience to. Ann, your countless hours of diligent work on curriculum policies married with sustained leadership and grounded decisions, always made with student well-being at the forefront, is a major contributing factor to what has become Pewaukee Schools made Pewaukee Schools an award-winning district. These awards keep our property values high and make our schools highly competitive, and desirable. A few of the awards that were won and or maintained during your tenure are the Spectrum Award for Exceptional School Communications. The Pewaukee School District was named one of the top 10 workplaces in southeastern Wisconsin for our staff, by our staff, every year that you've been on the board. In 2022, Niche designated the Pewaukee schools ranked number 10 overall of best school districts in our state. We were ranked number 10 for student athletes in the state. We're ranked number 26 out of 380 schools for the best teachers in the state, and 450 out of 11,656 schools in the United States. The median value of owner-occupied homes in Pewaukee grew from $316,400 to $402,372 in the years that you have been serving our community. Our graduation rate increased from 95% to 97%, and we are constantly recognized by the Honorable Herb Cole Awards and What Parents Want Awards. We have been designated as a Silver Award-winning school district by the U.S. News and World Report, and recognized with excellence by the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. Your leadership on the board has helped maintain the excellence defined in our prestigious Malcolm Baldrige framework, which only 8 school districts in the United States have been able to earn. We hope that your retirement is filled with lots of hugs from your beautiful grandchildren, cherished time with your family and friends, and you deserve it. And the Milwaukee Brewers deserve their biggest fans' undivided attention at last.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Ann, from a grateful community and staff. We have got a beautiful, personalized Brewers jersey for you to wear, and logistics has held it up for us. So we apologize. I will be dropping that by your home at some point in the next 4 to 6 days.
Thank you, Julie.
Very nice.
Thank you very much for your
Tickle there. Thank you. Next item on the agenda. Excuse me. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have minutes from other meetings, some correspondence, and some gifts, and the policies from the previous meeting that were pushed forward. So unless there's questions or corrections, I'll look for a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Business affairs met earlier today, didn't it, Steve?
We did.
Okay. I'm going to turn it over to you for your report.
Yeah, it was a last-minute conversation. That was a little joke. I was barely under the wire to get into the room tonight, so I was pushing the timeline there. So yeah, we had our business affairs meeting earlier tonight. We started off with John talking about his process improvement meetings. It was one of the conversations that came up as we went through the check registers, and we talked about a few of the items that showed up this month, and John gave us details on all the questions that were asked about that. But during that, we came up with this conversation around the process improvement meetings that he runs with Sue. And he works with individual schools across the campus to help identify delays that are causing late submissions to the team to get payments out, and works to optimize those processes. So it's great that we have that kind of focus from our business affairs office to make sure that we're not delaying in getting payments out to our vendors. We also did a detailed review of the remaining fiscal year revenue and expense timing. So we went through each of the substantial buckets of remaining revenues and when those funds will be received, as well as John went through estimates for us on the remaining expenses by category. We talked about how equipment and utilities are running a little higher right now. As you'd imagine, inflation is having an impact on those categories pretty heavily at the moment, and that John gave us the assessment that those overages will likely be offset by other areas where we're going to run under our planned budget. And we'll see more of that, of course, in the month of May with our budget update. And then finally, we went through a little preview of what John will present to us here in a few minutes as it relates to some of the summer capital projects and what's going to be presented to get ahead of supply chain challenges in a few spaces that we normally would have waited till next month to present to the board, but we're going to bring them in early. John's bringing them in early so we can make sure we get those materials in time to get those installs and updates done over the summer on plan. So that was our meeting from tonight, submitted to the board.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, I'll look for a motion to accept the business affairs report.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item of business is a bunch of capital projects, I think 4 in total, right there, John? So do you want to walk us through it?
Sure. So at the next meeting in April, typically we'll go through as part of the budget development process an approval of the capital improvement plan for the upcoming fiscal year. Because of when this falls and with some of the supply chain and the lead time issues, we wanted to bring that capital improvement project list to the board early this year to get the approval to commit to a couple of these projects that are going to have some longer lead times. Remember, we have about 12 weeks in the summer from the time everybody leaves to everybody coming back. Really gets compressed when we're doing some large capital projects. So really, this centers on 3 projects that are being completed around the district. Previously, we had approached the board with the approval to move forward with one of the projects, the air handling units replacement at Pewaukee Lake Elementary, the attic units in the old section of the building there. And that was approved with Gillette Mechanical. So we're bringing that formal action tonight based on the bid to the board for action. The second project that we're talking about is with this building here. As part of the last major capital improvement, we started on the exterior of the kitchen and replacement of the serving lines, utilizing our food service proceeds from our food service operations to do those lines and replace them. Next is moving that project into the kitchen. Phase 2 is inside the kitchen from top down. So looking at the ventilation systems, the exhaust systems, also improving the functionality of the kitchen to give us greater options for the types of food that we're producing and the type that we're serving in all of the district, as this is our main production kitchen. So it involves replacing one exhaust hood, putting in a new hood that allows us some more functionality with fire rating on it, and the associated ductwork that goes from there. So 2 of the bids that you'll be approving, one of them is for all the ductwork and the mechanical system. The other is for the actual installation of the 2 hoods that would be replaced and put in there. Phase 3, we'll look at it in the subsequent year, is where we finish off redoing the flooring. The kitchen is still original. And then looking at some of the other equipment within the kitchen for replacement and upgrade to change some of the delivery on there. The third project that we're bringing forward is for the gym in the main gym, the floor. About every 8 to 10 years, those floors have to be stripped down to the wood, repainted and refinished. It's just the useful life of the type of finish and that's on the floors. So that third project has been bid and has been awarded, and that one is on the agenda for action. Again, typically we would bring these as part of the budget proposal, and when the board approves the budget, when you approve the budget, you're approving us to move forward and issue contracts for these as long as they follow the bid procedures that are associated with the board policy 3200.04 bidding and purchasing. That calls for projects over $100,000 specifically to have board approval based on the bids that are received. So both of those are being addressed through this action tonight, and the capital improvement plan for the 22-23 school year. Are there any questions?
So it would be best to take these one at a time, you feel, so that we have them identified in the minutes?
Definitely.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion for the first one?
Move to approve the bid proposal from Gillette Mechanical Incorporated in the amount of $202,879 for the completion of the Pewaukee Lake Elementary School air handler replacement.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
7-0.
Move to approve the bid proposal from Gillette Mechanical Incorporated in the amount of $217,500 for the completion of the Pewaukee High School HVAC and kitchen air handling system upgrades.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 7-0. Okay, Larry.
Move to approve the bid proposal from Stalker Sports Floors in the amount of $47,200 for the completion of the Pewaukee High School main gym floor sanding and refinishing.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. What's the last one?
Move to approve the bid proposal from the Bolter Companies in the amount of $51,762 for the completion of the Pewaukee High School kitchen exhaust hood replacement and upgrade.
Second.
Oh, okay, Larry, you got it.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
7-0. Thank you, John. Moving down to personnel issues, we have,
A number of items tonight.
Yep.
Let's start with resignations. We have 2 administrative resignations. Brenton Roberts, Dean of Students, has been hired in a promoted position with the Muskego Norway Schools to be associate principal. So Brenton's been with us both as a teacher and as a dean for a long time and served us very well. So we're sad to see him go, but we're happy for him that he can continue to advance in his administrative career. So I'd seek your approval of the resignation of Brenton Roberts.
So moved.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
7-0.
The next is Amanda Check, Associate Principal at Pewaukee Lake Elementary. Again, sad to see Amanda go. That was a family situation. Her husband took a new position in Atlanta, Georgia. That's a little bit of a commute for her. So, so she's very sad about it, but Amanda did need to resign for that purpose. She'll be here through the end of most of summer school, through the end of June at least, because she's also our summer school principal. I would take any questions you have, but otherwise, I would seek your approval of the resignation of Amanda Check.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
We have a number of hires. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge our principals and Colin Jacobs for the good work that they're doing. I've been very impressed with the quality of people we've been able to bring in to replace some really high-quality people that are retiring. So, first position, Lisa Dennis comes to us from Franklin High School, where she's been a teacher for 19 years. She will be replacing Ron Johnson, who is retiring, as you know, for 8th grade ELA. I would take any questions you have. Otherwise, I would seek your approval of the hire of Lisa Dennis as our 8th grade English Language Arts teacher.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
7-0.
Katie Clark, 8th grade a science teacher, comes to us from Buckeye, Arizona, who's moving to the area. Again, another highly talented candidate, I think, who reached out and connected with John Gann on LinkedIn. And as she was researching districts she would like to work in this area. She is replacing Jan Hassert, who is retiring. I would take any questions. Otherwise, seek your approval of Katie Clark.
Motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Larry.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, welcome.
Sheila Hornberg, who already works for us in a part-time role as library media specialist. So typically, this would just be the increase in FTE we're recommending as that position goes to full-time from part-time would be really approved through the adoption of the budget. However, we shared Sheila with another school district who also offered her a full-time position, so we felt it necessary to formalize her hire sooner. So we would take any questions that you have. I would seek the approval of the full-time hire of Sheila Hornberg as our library media specialist. She'll be serving grades 6 through 12, and I think I know who might want to make the motion to approve.
Move to approve Sheila Hornberg to a full-time position.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, welcome.
Abigail Monday, who I believe is alumni. All right, so we're hiring back one of our own. We'd like to grow our own around here, who is being recommended for hire as a 3rd grade teacher to replace Anna Deerwachter, who is retiring. So we're excited to have Abigail back in the fold here. Take any questions. Otherwise, seek your approval of Abigail Monday for 3rd grade teaching.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
And lastly, seek your approval for the hire of Stephanie Sabella, who comes to us from the Oak Creek School District. She has 11 years of experience, and I think will be a really strong addition to our elementary music staff. She will be replacing Robin Apold, who is retiring.
Move to approve.
Second.
Question?
Is she certified in any kind of drum circle music kinds of things or not? But
I'm sure she could pull off a drum circle. I met her on last week, and I don't think there's much she probably couldn't handle. So,
good, thank you for it.
We have a motion and a second, I think. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, welcome. Good job, Larry.
all right, that completes the hire requests for this evening. We do have one leave of absence request that I recommend approval for. Sierra Gill, Phy Ed teacher at PLE, who recently had a baby. She had some complications that had her have to go on leave early, so she's looking to extend the length of that leave, which I would recommend for your approval.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Brian, how's our baby doing now?
Really well, is from everything I know.
Doing better? Okay, good.
All right, next item is lost on my computer. Board goals and operations, review of upcoming activities. I think you see most of the dates that are coming up here. The next meeting, well, tomorrow's at Internet Safety. The 19th, some of us are going to be here for the new board member gathering. Who's going to be here for that? Okay, fantastic. 25th, we have oath of office for the new elected board members. We'll be voting on positions on the 9th meeting, and 16th, we're going into our strategic planning season on that Monday. And then, oops, she left already. The 23rd is going to be Khadijah's last meeting here, so on May 23rd. Anybody have anything else to add to that? Did I miss anything that's going on? All right. Next thing we have here is a debrief discussion about the NSBA conference that some of us went to. Would somebody like to start?
I'll share a couple of things. I was really impressed. I went to a number of sessions. I was, I mentioned this, I brought the issue up last year. I was concerned with the lower attendance, whether we would get the value out of it. I'm fully satisfied that my participation and board participation in this meeting was worthwhile. I grabbed something from every single session I went to. I've already talked to Danielle about a couple of ideas about profile of an educator, profile of a board member. We have a profile of a graduate. Do we need a profile of a board member and what we should expect of ourselves as representatives of our community and advocates for our school district? And should we have a profile of an educator? Sounds like work's already been done in that space, so I just love that concept that I got from one of my sessions. And then I'll just give one more that I felt really valuable, and that was the 7 habits of highly effective boards. There was some really good reminders in there about what, how to make sure that what we do is really aligned to our purpose. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to take away from that, and I'll share my notes broadly with the group once I finalize all that. I haven't gotten through all that yet from my return, but I really enjoyed that session, and it was personally a good recentering for me about how I play a big role here.
Almost sounds like a board goal coming up, maybe an educational session.
Yeah, I have a number of things that I would love to share with the board about my thinking walking out of a couple of these, and I will share it with all of you, and what we do with it will be up to us, but I really, those 2 sessions I thought were the most valuable ones that I participated in.
Stacy, anything you want to contribute?
I enjoyed it. I struggled slightly to find sessions that I thought would be really beneficial to me. But the ones that I did end up in, everyone, I walked out with some nugget of information that I didn't know before. I thought the general sessions were really good, and I enjoyed spending the time outside of these meetings, getting to know all of you better.
One of the reasons for going there. I had a couple, one was about board self-evaluations, and back to a theme that I have, I don't really like the state model for doing that, and this kind of connects to that book you gave me, Larry, the Governance Core, where they threw out their state evaluation model, and they had a different type of evaluation, talking about coherence, governance mindset, systems thinking, strategic focus, deep learning, managing manner, and stuff like that. So I think that's something I would be interested in taking a deeper dive into looking at, because I think it's more at the higher level which we operate at than the one we get from the state. And then there's one on recruitment. Supposedly was diversity recruitment, but it didn't have much to do with diversity. They were a district that were 4 or 5 times our size, and they were already a diverse community, and they're just trying to hire from that community. But the key things that they brought out is trying to incentivize those people to come to the district, and they had things like 80% of the first year teacher credentialing program they pay for. They had a residential allowance to let them live in the area if they're doing their proctoring and stuff like that. They gave them all a $1,500 laptop. They had incentives for people that were bilingual or had a history of being involved in supporting organizations with underserved populations. And they had $5,000 incentive for the hard-to-fill roles like chemistry teacher, physics, math, high school, and stuff like that. So they had a pretty detailed program. Of course, they spent $1 million a year on it, so I don't think we're going to be at that level. But then again, they were like 4 or 5 times bigger than our district. So it is something that's coming up. I see it almost the last couple times we actually had a NSBA talking about different incentive programs, because the labor market's getting tighter and tighter for people going into teaching and education. So, and then when I went to for a couple reasons, it talked about student safety coach model. The reasons I went to that is they got rid of their SROs, and it was also District 287, which had a shooting February 1st in Minneapolis, the one my daughter was at.
Yeah.
So they had an interesting strategy trying to, I guess if I summarize, breaking the school to prison pipeline on that. But I wanted to hear what they had to say about that shooting and the resolutions they took to continue using that model. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I would just add, even though the sessions were fewer, I think I actually had more good sessions this time than probably in an average year. I really had I shared the artificial intelligence. One that I went to had just a ton of resources, and I think really gives us some things to think about in terms of a piece that, along with our coding curriculum that we have throughout the system, how are we bringing in learning around artificial intelligence, which is going to be is already permeating and is only going to more so permeate the world around us. So that was extremely interesting. Like Stacy said, I thought the keynotes were very good. Damon John from the Shark Tank, I thought it was really interesting to hear his story. He was excellent. So yeah, every session I went to, and I usually can't say that with any conference I go to, but I really had something of value. So I was pleasantly surprised. And it was great spending more time and building our teamwork and our relationships.
It's always fun to go to San Diego and have it rain.
It certainly wasn't typical Southern California weather, was it, Brian?
Great time. So,
How did our presentations go?
oh, very good question.
Our presentations were very well received. Both had between 40 and 50 attendees, and in both situations we had probably 10, 15 people stay for a good 15, 20 minutes after, looking for more information, asking questions. So
I've received
well received.
communication
Yeah.
from people who attended for both both of our presentations, asking follow-up questions and for more information that I've responded to.
I always think that's a telltale sign when you have so many people staying after.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of deep engagement from a group.
Or when they
in
contact you
each
later
one.
and ask questions for more
Yeah.
information.
I'll just share one more thing. Most of you didn't get to stay for that last speaker, right? She was phenomenal.
She was great. I watched it on virtual video.
Yeah, she was
great.
phenomenal. And her key message, what I would take away, her name was Liz Murray, and she was the star of the Homeless to Harvard story. And her parents both got AIDS from being heroin addicts before they knew that you shouldn't share needles. I mean, it was just before that whole thing blew up. And she talked about the people who helped her in her life. And one of the things that I really took away from her message was that help has to be partnered with accountability. Like, that was her story, was people need help, but they also need to be held accountable. And that was the only reason she thought she was successful, is that there were people who helped her along the way, but they held her accountable to her own journey and to making progress and moving forward. And she drove that message pretty strongly. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen her a couple of times. She's really good. Thanks, Steve.
Next item is legislative advocacy discussion. The governor did sign 2 bills the other day, one about voucher payments for charter schools created by tribal colleges, I think was one of them, and then the other one was allowing permits for students in training to be substitute teachers. So the rest of the other ones didn't get vetoed, so those are the only 2 changes I know of, unless you guys know something else.
No, there's really nothing new. There was a bunch of stuff that was advanced in the last month or so, and a lot of vetoes. But there were a couple that were signed, as you've indicated.
Was that substitute thing, so they finished all their schooling and they're doing their student teaching so they can teach instead of student teaching, or do we know what the detail of that is?
It was a bit confusing to me because it sounded like their substitute teaching could qualify for the.
Oh.
So.
Oh.
Unless you guys read it differently.
I'd have to look more detail.
it's
I
okay.
knew it had
It's
something
okay.
to do with substitute teachers, so I didn't read
Thanks.
it in depth.
I think there was how long they did it. So.
Okay. Okay.
Strategic planning update. I'll probably send this over to you.
Yeah, you have the memorandum in your packet, really just giving an update. We have our community session on Monday, May 16th. What's primarily been provided to the board is, every time we have one of these sessions, we try to do direct communication to recruit as diverse a group, as a representative group as we can for those sessions, and the board had expressed some interest in having that list in case you wanted to do some personal outreach to try to maximize attendance to the event. So Julie's done a nice job putting that together. We've asked principals and others to give us names for that, and so that's available to you for if you want to make a personal contact to anyone on the list or anybody else. They don't have to be on the list. This is not exclusive to people who have been identified. Anybody can participate in this. We would just want them to RSVP so we know how many folks to expect. So I'd take any questions that you might have.
So I think, Mike, all of the people on that list had been contacted.
Everybody on the list receives an email invitation from us, so.
Did the email contain the framework document as well, or is it just a general notice?
It did.
It did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's helpful to know that. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions about the strategic planning efforts?
So looking forward to May 16th, working on details. I'll have more details at the next meeting in terms of the structure of that night. It'll be similar to things we've done in the past with, in essence, a report out in terms of our progress. We'll do some breakout groups in regards to, with the 6 process owners in those 6 areas to provide an update in terms of their progress, and then do something in the lines of a SWOT analysis to get more feedback from the community in those areas.
Larry?
I mean, that session would not typically be video broadcast, right? Or it's hard to,
No, we don't plan to live stream that. We're going to be all over the place. So it'd be really difficult because we'll kind of have a group and then we'll be breaking out into rooms and those things. So we had not intended to do any live streaming of the strategic planning.
Good. Brings us down to citizen comments. Oops, Julie's got one.
I just have a couple of quick mishmash. One of the things for the teens that already left, it would be great if they track the accomplishments of something other than sports. I mean, the sports are great, but we've got graduates that are becoming doctors and engineers and amazing things in our world that are making our world a better place as well as our athletes. So it'd be great to hear where they're at as well. Another thing I wanted to say is I was trying to give you guys a heads up. You missed the middle school musical. There was 2 musicals over the last 2 weeks. One was with the 7th grade. They did a junior version or a kids version, and then this past weekend the 8th graders did a junior version. And so there should definitely be a kudos to Candace Gripping and Crystal Stingle and all the other people who helped. I know that it's normal to forget the fine arts. And then I just wanted to say 2 more things. I'm just coming from a consortium of pro bono attorneys that have bonded together to help parents of the LGBTQ community. They intend to help us navigate the new world of the new school board, and gave us a lot of information as far as what our rights are, what our children's rights are, and where the school board is held liable, as well as where staff members who support this and the board members that support this can also be held personally liable. And I just want to let you know we are watching, and we're looking forward to opening the door for our child's future as well. And then finally, I just wanted to say I'm the lady in the white minivan, and I told you to stop with the hatred and drop dead. And now you know what it's like to be an LGBT child.
Wow. All right, well, that brings us down to an adjournment.
Brian?
Oh.
Sure, Brian.
If you feel
we need to get your name though, sir.
I'll give my name.
Yeah. Hi, Brian.
Brian Belt. I just want to add that one of our village trustees that unfortunately didn't win, Julie also screamed at him down the road. So now we've run into multiple threats. I'm wondering if this continues, Brian and Mike, where are we supposed to report this and what are we supposed to do? Because I know last year there were threats that came in and that the police were brought involved and things like that. So I'd like to know your guys' feedback on to what we can do now, because that's twice. That's 2 threats that we've gotten, and that's unacceptable. I feel.
Yeah, I would say, as with.
Thank you.
You're welcome. With any situation, if you feel that you've been threatened, you should report it to the police, and that's what our advice would always be.
All right, I'll try once more. Motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.